Radio.
This podcast is called Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest get some secrets off their chest. You should listen. It's the best.
Hello and welcome to Obsessed with me, Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm sitting in my home with a great comic and a fine human being, Patrick Susmilch.
Oh, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me.
Yeah, I really experiment with how I introduce people. I try to say something about what they actually do, and then something positive about them. And oftentimes, I used to just say an awesome person, and that was way too much for most people. Like, sometimes they get actually angry with me. But a fine human being, do you feel like that's...
I think a fine human being is like the most anyone can strive for.
Yeah.
There's no like end goal. You can't be perfect. So like fine. Like you're intentional.
Yeah.
You're trying.
Yeah. Oh man, those are two good ideas of my continuing experiment of how to introduce people. Because I could say a perfect human being.
Oh god, I would leave.
You would just get up and leave, flip the table, and you're
out.
Oh,
this is a cult. I'm out.
And what was the other thing? Oh, a person who is trying.
I am trying. I think.
I think most people are trying.
I think I'm trying, but then everyone else, when they're posting on like social media, is like, "Oh, I just spent 40 hours today writing my screenplay." I'm like, I played video games and napped.
Yeah, but the people who say 40 hours, I think a very few of them actually spent 40 hours, and others spent
I hope so.
20 hours playing video games too.
God, I hope so.
That's the curse of social media. It's, I think it's like 75% honest.
75%, 3/4 honest is social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just pulling numbers out of nowhere. I hadn't planned to give a treatise on
this.
That
was too honest. I hate social media. I'm going to tell you about me right now. I hate social media. You're supposed to be on it to do comedy, but it's like, I don't care if people know what I'm doing.
You post on Facebook, but not Twitter. Is that right?
Mostly Facebook, some Twitter. Facebook's just easier to... I just like being able to comment on my own statuses, because that's where I feel like my comments are where I shine.
So you're really only posting so you can then make another self-deprecating post about your original post that was perfectly valid and funny? Yeah,
like if you see a post and you go in the comments, it's really just me descending into madness pretty much every time.
God. All right, so we've already talked a little bit about who you are, what you do. You're a stand-up comedian. You're doing some writing,
some sketch writing.
You are originally from Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Just moved to Los Angeles.
Literally just moved here like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and do you mind talking about where you came from? Like just now physically?
I like right now. Yeah. I just came from a 201 intensive improv class at UCB on Sunset.
Yeah,
it was the first day. 15 new people. They're all like so into like they're very much improv people. So they're like I come in and everyone's like strangers, but like chatting to each other like they've known each other for decades. And then I show up with my like stand-up like anxiety and neuroses and like, why is everyone talking? And, like,
it's a competition to be the darkest and the weirdest.
Who's the darkest? Who's had the most shit happen to them? Can I swear? Probably.
Yes, you can.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's just weird because like I'm just like, what? Like people ask me questions about my life. I'm like, what are you getting at? Like, what are you probing for?
What are you looking for?
What are you looking for? Weakness? And like, no, they're just genuine human beings that want to get to know you as a person.
They might be looking for weakness.
I don't know. I think they just want to like be friends with people.
I think maybe they teach looking for weakness at like the 3rd or 4th level of UCB improv, because that certainly is a part of it. Let's talk about your obsession. I'm so excited. Tell me about your obsession with, is it mountaineering disasters or general mountain disasters?
General mountain disasters, mountaineering disasters that happen on or around mountains. Because what happened is about last year, my girlfriend and I went and saw the movie Everest.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have not.
It's based on this disastrous climb that happened in 1996. Like John Krakauer was there. He wrote the book about it, Into Thin Air. And then they decided to turn to a movie. And like at the end, the person that dies at the end of Everest, which is like a huge spoiler alert if you haven't read the news or anything, like it's like it just gives like a little title. It's like, hey, his body's still up there. And I'm just like, fucking what? Like there's just bodies around there. And I went and looked it up. There's like 250 bodies just along the trails of Mount Everest that are just like feet from the trail, because like no one's like wandering off. And I just got really too into it and like started looking at pictures. And like I remember the night we came back to my girlfriend's place after seeing the movie, I was just on my phone just like staring at dead bodies, and I was just like, I can't stop. I don't think I'm sleeping tonight. And that ended up being like a few weeks. Really got into it.
Really? So
yeah.
So was it the whole movie, the whole story that captured you, or was it the specific detail of there are bodies up there that nobody is bothering to bring down?
I think it's just the whole concept, because for Mount Everest, there's like this point, it's after 8,000 meters, they call it like the dead zone, where you just kind of slowly die, and the idea...
Sorry, I don't know. I'm
particularly
dark
so,
today, I
it's
guess.
so ridiculous.
Ha ha ha, that's so funny that you die on a mountain.
They talk about it like, oh, once you get to this point, your body just kind of slowly dies, and you want to hope to get to the top and back before you die.
So, I mean, that's like video game shit.
That is like video game shit. You got like the little like temperature meter in the corner, and it's like, find the fires or you'll die. And it's just so crazy that people go to this area where they know they're going to slowly die, and they're just like, yeah, tight. That's what I'm about. And so the movie is just people slowly dying for 2.5 hours, which I found compelling. The movie didn't get great reviews, which I also agree with, because it is literally people dying for 2.5 hours for no reason. There's no like struggle.
Yeah.
There's no like interpersonal conflict. It's like, oh, I wanted to climb this mountain and it cost a bunch, so I'm gonna try. And then people.
So this is a documentary, right?
The Everest is not. It is historical fiction. It's not even really a dramatization. It's just kind of like a complete recount of what happened based on a book. There's this guy, and you've probably seen pictures of him. He got lost for a while, and he got back, and like he lost all his fingers, and like his nose fell off, and they had to like grow a nose on his forehead and like cut it down and shit.
They grew a nose on his forehead?
Yeah, it was like a really big deal in the 90s, because like, look at this crazy ass plastic surgery shit. So like they somehow found a way to like grow a nose on his forehead. They cut it, flipped it down, like sewed it up, and that was like a huge deal. But anyway, he wrote a book, and for whatever reason, people who made the movie chose that book instead of Jon Krakauer's book, because I guess it was more expensive to option Jon Krakauer's book. Jon Krakauer, in the movie, like there's this point where people are lost on the mountain and they come back like, we gotta go find them. And Jon Krakauer's just like, no, I'm sleeping, and like turns his back to the tent. And it's like, you already didn't pay this dude money. Why are you making him a dick in the movie?
Yeah. So, did you go and read some of the books that it was based on?
I did. I ended up reading Into Thin Air. That was a really compelling book. And just the way he describes it, it's just like, how could anyone read this and actually want to climb Mount Everest? Like, he talks about how like you'll take like one step, breathe heavily for like 2 minutes, take another step, like breathe heavily. Like there's just no oxygen, so you kind of go crazy. You don't even really remember where you are. And it just sounds genuinely awful.
So after seeing this movie, you got enchanted with this.
I got weirdly enchanted.
And then you read the books.
Read the book, yes.
Did you come away from the book or the movie with a better understanding of why people do it? Is it anything more than just the sort of, it is there, it is a challenge, and we as humans strive to defeat challenges when we see them, so we will go to this mountain and beat it, and therefore prove that we are alive? Like,
people are always very like, they don't completely reference their lives, but like a lot of people, like the guy that had like his nose, like the nose fall off, like he was having like troubles at home.
Okay.
And I don't know if just these mountains become like easily identifiable like goals. They're like, oh, I can climb this mountain and then like my problems will go away. Or like, I don't know if it's just people that are just having troubles in their lives or what. Like I go rock climbing, but like I would never want to climb Mount Everest.
Okay. So why do you go rock climbing?
I do. It's scary, and I do enjoy the scariness. Like I was really afraid of heights, and just so like getting over that fear was a lot of fun. It's very physical, which is great because like I used to go to like a regular gym all the time. And
really?
There's only so many times you can like bench press or whatever before you're just fucking bored.
Right. There's like no narrative to it. It's just like a montage in real life.
There's no narrative. It's just like,
go fast.
I pushed a thing and then I brought it back down and then I pushed it again. And like we go rock climbing, like every route is different and there's different ways to do it. And it's kind of like a puzzle you're solving with your brain and your body.
So you mean real rock climbing?
Yeah.
I was picturing like REI in a rock wall in a retail store.
Well, these are like climbing gyms. I haven't gone climbing outside. I've gone bouldering outside once, and that was...
What is bouldering?
Bouldering is like a rock climbing where you stay pretty close to the ground. You don't have to like rope in or anything. Nice. And I went with a friend to Taylor's Falls, Minnesota, and there were some boulders, and he's like, oh, we're going to have they have like pads they're portable. You bring them, you set them down where you're gonna go boulder. So if you fall, you don't like break your spine. He's like, I got these pads. It's gonna be great. So I went with him. He's like, oh, I forgot the pads, and I was like, what? So we're just like bouldering with just like sharp rocks, and everyone is like doing these crazy moves. I'm like, you know what? I'm good.
So you didn't do it.
I did it like a little bit, and I was like, this is not worth it. There's like an acceptable risk to fun ratio that was exceeding for me.
So yeah, so you sound like you do have like a healthy respect for, I'm going to do this scary thing to get over a fear, but I'm not willing to rip my back open over it.
Yeah. I mean, I've taken some falls while rock climbing that were pretty terrifying that I think really helps temper that. Like, I think that's, like, early on. Like, I bet if I was, like, crushing it when I first started, I'd be like, whatever, mountains, fucking take them all. Like, let's do it.
I can beat you, mountain.
Yeah.
Were you already rock climbing and bouldering when you saw the Everest movie?
Yeah, it was about 6 months into my rock climbing. So I think that helped because I was like, oh, look at all these rocks and stuff. And then just as shit got worse, I was just like, oh, jeez.
You're pulled into the human drama.
I don't know. There's just something compelling to me about people dying and like knowing they're dying.
Yeah.
And like dealing with that.
Yeah. So let's get back to the bodies then.
Okay.
It sounds like the bodies are what hooked you. It
is what hooked me because it's just this cavalierness about it. There's just bodies and people just hike by them like within feet. And it's just crazy to me. There's like over 250 known bodies on Mount Everest.
Why do the bodies just not come down because it is too difficult? Or
it's too difficult. It's just like so high up that it's like a struggle just to walk in a straight line. So just to go off a couple feet to try and like push a body would just be like a complete waste of strength and very much puts you in danger.
Yeah. Are they respected though at this point where people know like, hey, when I'm climbing up Everest, there are maps and I know that I've just passed Steve.
Right.
So I'm this is a moment of honor. That didn't sound honorable when I just named a corpse Steve, but
no, the weird thing is that some bodies seem to have like a reverence and some don't. Like there's
oh wow, even in death there's hierarchy.
Right, like so the weirdest thing is that there's this area where there's like the biggest proliferation of bodies is referred to as Rainbow Valley. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's called Rainbow Valley.
If you told me that, I would think it was a Mario level.
No, it's not. It's really dark because it's not like, oh, it's fun or like some real pretty scenery. No, it's because of all the multicolored down snowsuits of all the corpses.
Wow.
So they call it Rainbow Valley. And I don't know if that's disrespectful or if it's kind of like a nudge, like, yeah, we might die up here kind of thing. There's some bodies, like there's a woman, Frances, she got like, they put like a flag over her corpse from the country she's from. I can't remember where she's from. I think Australia. There's a few other bodies you'll see, they get like Canadian flags or something. And then there's just some bodies that's just like a dude, like kind of like prone with like an arm up, just frozen stiff. People are like, nah, we're just gonna let that guy just hang out there, just whatever.
Did you make a point of learning about all of the bodies, all of the people who died?
I didn't make it a point. I just it just sort of happened.
Like as you were reading and getting into it?
As it was reading, because like there's many articles about this on the internet. A lot of it's just kind of clickbaity things where like a blog writer clearly had a quota of blogs and they're like, I don't know, bodies on Everest, and it's just copy paste. But like there's a few like really prominent like George Mallory's body. He was a guy who like one of the first people that really tried to climb it in 1924 and then just kind of disappeared.
Okay.
And people were like, did he make it or did he not? And then in 1999 his body was found with like head trauma and like broken stuff. They're like, oh, okay, he's might have made it, but he's for sure died on the mountain.
Were they looking for him or did they just happen to find him?
They just kind of happened to find him. The thing that's crazy to me is there's this Indian climber towards the top and kind of like a little like nook, like a crevice in the rock. And he is named Green Boots because he's wearing green boots. And he's like a famous like mile marker. It's like, oh, you got to Green Boots Cave. Like you're almost to the top.
Okay.
And that is like they do, because it's just such a barren expanse, they do start using the bodies as like trail guides, which is just insane to me.
Okay, so you obviously have a connection. It resonates with you for some reason. Do you, for yourself, see it as like an honor to kind of somehow live on as a part of the mountain and as a part of the story? Or is it more like existential dread troubling to you that these corpses are just sitting there?
I think what's most compelling about it to me is that like you do kind of become part of the mountain, part of the experience. Like if you or I were like to die around here, like in a car accident or something,
in Los Angeles,
you get carted away, cremated or buried or whatever, but like you die on Mount Everest, and that's just where you are now.
Yeah,
like Mallory's body's up there for almost 100 years now. You're there.
Yeah,
there's like it's like you're your own tombstone, and like in a weird way you kind of live on.
Yeah. Like with a strange mix of respect and disrespect, it sounds like.
Yeah, like a really, like, people respect you, but I think they know that could easily be them, so they're kind of, like, cavalier about it. But it's just such a weird combo of respect and disrespect, and it's just so interesting to me that you get to, like, live on in some way.
Would you ever want that to, like, in a strange change in our tradition, our culture, for that to happen in the real world, for there to at least... Not that bodies were necessarily left there, but like if we both suddenly had a heart attacks right now and we died in this apartment
right.
While we're recording a podcast, like just like that would be tradition that like, well, whoever lives here again, they're going to have these markers on the wall that these two died right here.
Desiccated corpses talking into microphones.
Terrible podcast heart attack accident happened at this exact spot. You can live here in this apartment now, but like you always have to know that a life passed here.
Right. The podcasters. I'm wearing a cat shirt, so I'd be cat shirt. I don't know what you would be.
I got a Star Wars shirt.
Okay, you'd be a hoodie.
Star Wars shirt, hoodie guy. You would see a lot of those.
Yeah, there'd be a lot. I think you couldn't have that in like Los Angeles because within a year you would just be like snow plowing bodies off the streets.
Yeah, the actual bodies are certainly like but maybe. Oh man, this is dark. I don't even know if I should go here, but almost like...
Is it darker than what we've been talking about?
No, but like, have you played Pokemon Go at all?
Oh yeah, I almost started playing on the way here. But,
but you know how like that's almost a digital way that like you see the real world, but things are marked there.
Yeah.
So like you could even have like a Who Died Here app. And that would be a way to like digitally mark like physically where people were when they passed.
That would be super dark, but I'm going to be honest, I'd be into that. Like there's like tours of like that. Like we're like, oh, this is where some famous person died outside this restaurant. Like there's actual like LA tours you can go on. Like, oh, here's where... I was going to say a name, but they're not actually dead. I was going to say Pete Townsend, but he's not dead. But
here's where Pete Townsend will die.
What?
Creepy.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of people like me and like goth teenagers that would love that app.
Yeah, I mean, there is something about it that's this weird chasm between respect and disrespect where it's like a little macabre and a little gothy and a little teenage, but also a little like, we do only concentrate on death when we can make it really clean and safe.
Yeah.
Or when it's like a famous person was murdered here.
Right.
And to just be like, a normal person was living their life and they passed, and here's what happened. There's something about that to me that's almost respectful, even though it's really weird.
And maybe part of it with like the people that die on mountains is just the fact that like for most of these people, it isn't like they had a horrible accident. They were just kind of going, and then they sat down and then just stopped.
Right.
And people just slowly die, and I don't know if we talked about this, but like people will hike by you while you're slowly dying.
What?
Yeah.
So, let me come back to that in just a second.
Sorry.
Because we're talking about all this death, I just want to get a sense of, like, a lot of people, though, do just make it to the top of Everest, right? Like,
yeah, a few hundred a year.
A few hundred a year. Okay, so people do make it. Great. Okay, so somebody's climbing.
Yeah.
Somebody else is sitting there dying. Why can't the climbers help the person who's dying?
There's a lot of reasons. One, again, like we talked, it's like so tiring, and like John Krakauer said, you can barely move your feet, that there's not really a lot you can do. Like you're not going to have the strength to drag them back down the mountain. So a lot of people are afraid, and this has happened a couple times, they stop to try and help someone, and then they also are now dead.
Okay, because you have to use all of your energy when you're in that death is coming.
Yeah, like it's such a weird thing. Like if you stop moving, that greatly increases your chance of dying. So you'll be like super tired, and if you like sit to rest, you freeze.
Yeah.
And like, you know, whatever parts of your brain are still alive, but like people like literally like they will start freezing solid, almost like a cartoon.
Wow.
Or like at the end of The Shining.
So this is all Everest based.
This is just Everest
go
stuff.
looking into other mountain disasters, or are you just Everest based?
Everest is, I think, the most classic example. All of the mountains that are like really high, like there's the 7 summits, which is the highest mountain on each continent. Everest is the one for I think Asia. Any of these really high mountains, after a certain point, are just kind of bodies.
Okay, so the Everest story translates to other mountains like it.
And the interesting thing about Everest is that it is the tallest mountain in the world, and it is hard, but there's also... It's said that on a clear day, like any able-bodied person could climb Mount Everest, so what ends up happening is that there's a lot of like expedition adventure companies that will be like, oh, give us thousands of dollars, we'll lead you up the mountain. So what happens is that a lot of people who are inexperienced climbers...
Okay.
go to climb and they don't know what they're doing. So one, Everest is overcrowded, which is very interesting. So like you can see pictures and it's just a line of people hooked into these lead ropes just waiting because someone's like doing a particularly hard move. So there's a lot of standing around and waiting just because of overcrowding, and that's when a lot of people die because they're waiting and they're also inexperienced. So Everest, I think, just has like the most bodies.
Okay. Because it's a tourist trap.
It's a tourist trap, and you can read more about it. Everest, especially closer to base camp, is just covered in trash.
Yeah.
It's just
really?
It's just covered in garbage and human waste. It's just bizarre.
How high up is base camp? Is it like at the base of the mountain, or is it like kind of halfway up?
It's like 14,000 feet to maybe 19. I don't remember. But
and is there no one in charge of keeping Everest beautiful? Is there no Smokey the Bear type character for Everest? It's like, don't fucking do that.
They're trying. They're trying really hard to do that. There's a new thing, well, not new, but relatively new in the past decade. You have to get like a permit to climb Mount Everest from Nepal. Nepal and Tibet are the two sides you can climb from, I think.
Okay.
If anyone writes in, I'm sorry. It's been a while.
It's fine.
I did watch a movie about Everest on the airplane back from Minneapolis, but it was dumb. But anyway, they have a thing, like you try and bring back as many pounds of garbage as gear you brought back.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a weigh station on the way back that they check, but like there's still a lot of trash. A lot of crime too, apparently.
Oh, crime?
Yeah.
Like people attacking other people on the mountain?
People attacking other people, people stealing.
Oh, stealing like equipment?
Stealing equipment or supplies and stuff. It's very weird. People think maybe it's part of it is because, that elevation is still pretty high up and you have like hypoxia where there's not enough oxygen in your brain, which can kind of make you kind of aggressive and a dick. There's a book called High Crimes that's about that.
Yeah, you're definitely changing my perspective of what mountain climbing is, because you think of it as something like that an adventurer does, not something where you might suddenly become a dick against your will.
You think like it's this like noble like Sierra Club thing where you're going and like appreciating nature, but what actually it is like business people or like business owners. They'll have like their oxygen tank, and when it's depleted, they just throw it to the side. They don't do anything. So there's just shit everywhere, like literal human shit everywhere. There's actually been like outbreaks of bacteria on base camp because how you get water on Everest is you just melt snow, but now there's just literally shit everywhere.
So you go to melt some snow and you might discover...
it's been contaminated.
Okay. Great.
No, I don't even know what like the personal goal is anymore because literally hundreds of people are doing it every year.
So obviously you're fascinated with the disaster. There's certainly, I think, it sounds like some amount of reflection on the contrast of what you expected it to be versus what it is that fascinates you. You don't want to climb Everest yourself.
I mean, I'm sure part of me does, yes. Yeah. I think I would not reach the top. I think I would be careful because there's so many ways to die. Sorry to just tap the table. The microphones are on. You can just die. Yeah. You can get, because of the high altitude, you get pulmonary edema where like your lungs just fill with fluid. Yeah. Or like a cerebral edema where your brain just fills with fluid. They have this thing called high altitude cough, where it's because because of the high altitude, you breathe really like heavily and quickly, and because the air is so exceedingly dry, you like literally dry out your lungs, and they start like cracking and bleeding, and that's a way you can die with that cough. People have actually broken their ribs coughing so hard. God, there's so many ways to die up there.
It sounds like just like the worst menu that I've ever heard recited.
I think people think of rock climbing like, oh, you take like a wicked ass fall down thousands of feet, and it's like, no, you just coughed yourself to death or like diarrheaed yourself to death.
Okay, so if you had to be involved in a mountaineering disaster of some kind, if you were climbing a mountain, and this was a disaster that you could survive, what kind of thing would you want to have happen to you that would actually like increase your obsession? Whereas like, wow, I did this scary thing, a weird or awful thing happened, but I survived, and I'm still into mountain disasters.
Probably like a storm, like a bad storm where I'd have to like, basically what you do is you just kind of dig yourself a little hole in the snow and hide in it. That'd probably one that it would be okay. Injuries scare me. There's a documentary and a book that's called Touching the Void. It's on Netflix. Have you seen it?
No. The title probably wouldn't have jumped out to me.
No, it's not. Well, I'm sure some people saw it and were like, oh, this sounds sexy, but it's not. It's about,
sounds like a very sexy H.P. Lovecraft
story. It's about rock climbing. It's these two dudes climbed this mountain that hadn't been climbed before in the Peruvian Andes. And they got to the top, and then there was a horrible storm, and they were coming down, and the one dude fell and like just broke the shit out of his leg.
Okay.
Later, when he finally got back, they found out that his I can't remember the name of the lower bone, your shin bone or whatever, like telescoped into like his femur.
Okay, that's disturbing.
Yeah, and so he had his leg broken, and they're like, "Fuck, we're on this goddamn mountain, and no one knows we're here except this." There's this dude they picked up that they were just having chill at their base camp. So the plan was they would lower the injured guy down a rope that was attached to the uninjured guy. Then that guy would sit, and then that guy would climb back down. And they just keep lowering him. But it was because of the storm, and it got dark. So the guy accidentally lowered the injured dude just off a cliff.
And just dangled him there.
It was just
in the void.
It just dangling him there. In the void. That's where touching the void. He touched it. So he's just dangling like 30 feet off this cliff because of the storm and because of the way the cliff works. The dude on top couldn't hear, so after about an hour, the guy was losing his grip and had to make this horrible call to cut the rope, even though he knew his friend was still alive. So that dude falls into 90 feet into like a ice crevasse.
Okay.
You know, like that weird ass ice cave on Hoth or whatever.
The like Wampa Cave. Yeah,
it just kind of looks like that, and like the dude he's like, "Why aren't I dead?" And so he was just on like this thin little ice shelf. He still had some rope. He describes it in the documentary in the book of just him crying and yelling at this completely dark cave with just like a little headlamp. And he's like, I had to sleep, but I didn't want to turn the headlamp off and realize where I was. And after like hours of like crying and waiting for death, it didn't happen. And he's like, I guess I got to try and get out of here. So what he did.
And this is still the guy with the broken leg.
This is the dude with the broken ass leg. So he puts a little anchor in. He's got rope left from when it got cut. He decides to just lower himself into this abyss he can't see, and he even says at the that he didn't make a point to like tie like a knot at the end of the rope. He just wanted it if he ran out of rope to just be able to fall and die.
Okay.
And he climbs down. There's actually like a surface down there. He sees it. There's like some sunlight that he can see that he finally gets to it after like just trying to climb on his fucking hobbled ass leg. So he gets out, he hobbles miles and miles for days, finally gets back to the base camp that his friend had gotten to and was like, he was like literally trying to come with like, what are the lies I can tell people so they don't know that I cut his rope?
Right, that I dangled him in the void and then just cut him free.
Right. And so, like, literally hours before that, like, that dude refused to leave while the friend they picked up was like, we eventually have to go, we're out of supplies. And the dude finally came hours before their plan to head out, like, early in the morning. And what was the craziest thing is that they could just kind of hear the dude, like, very whimperingly, like, saying his friend's name. And the guy that they brought, whose name I can't remember, genuinely thought he was, like, a ghost and, like, wouldn't help him.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, this is all Hoth stuff. Like, he thought he was Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, go to Dagobah.
Yeah, no, he's like, I ain't fucking with no zombie. Like, so, like, it's... And, God, it's just so fucking crazy.
So, obviously, he accepted that his friend who had survived touching the void was actually alive, and they made it back to human civilization to share this disturbing story.
They made it back. The climbing community hated the dude that cut the rope where the other guy had to like do press conferences and be like, no, this dude is my friend. This is what he had to do. Otherwise, we both would have died. And he saved my life when I got back. And it's so crazy.
Yeah. So, okay, you have memorized these stories to the point where you can recite them. You have encyclopedic knowledge of how the body can explode and collapse.
Yeah, so, I saw the documentary for Touching Point and then read the book. And the book is like for as hard as that sounded, the book is so much crazier. And the thing that really stuck out to me that's so dumb as a person with bad vision is that the guy who was injured, he was talking about coming down and he's like, I've been wearing my contacts for 5 days. And I was like, oh, God. Do you know how much that would suck?
Yeah, well, that's probably how he stayed alert.
He slept in them.
That like sharp pain in your eyes when you keep your contacts on. Yeah. It probably saved his life.
It probably saved his life. And these were 1985 contacts, so they're probably like the hard glass contacts.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing he didn't drop them.
Yeah.
In the void.
Yeah.
Drop my contact in the void. So you know so much what can happen. But you're still doing rock climbing, which I understand is not as dangerous as actual mountain climbing. How do you deal with the fear? Because you said you did rock climbing and bouldering because you were already afraid of heights.
Yeah.
You are obsessed with different ways the body can explode and collapse.
Oh, there's so many ways.
So how do you deal with the fear when and get yourself to the point where you can be climbing?
I think a lot of it is that I don't actually like maybe push myself as hard as I could. Like just the other day, I was climbing with a friend. We were doing some lead climbing, and that's where there's top rope climbing where like the rope goes up and like through like just a hook and then back down.
Yeah.
Then there's lead climbing where you have like the little clamps or carabiners that you hook the rope into as you go up. And we were doing that, and it was doing like an easy route. And sometimes you just get into your own head with what happened to me. I was just like, oh, if I fall, I'm going to fall a bunch. And I was like, oh, fuck this. And I'm just like, let me down. Like you just have to know when to give up. I think that's how I deal with the fear, is just being like, not today.
Okay, so you approach it as something where you do not need to excel. It's just a thing you're doing, and if at any point, it's like eating a sandwich. You're like, I don't need the rest of this sandwich. I'm full. I'm done.
I don't identify with that. I've got problems with overeating.
All right.
I used to weigh a lot more, and how I've learned to deal with that is I just, like when I eat meals, I'll eat all the meal, and then I just stay away from snacks because I cannot snack responsibly. Okay,
so you're a more responsible climber than you are
than I am at eating. Yeah. Probably heart disease is what'll kill me.
Maybe on a mountain, maybe not.
Yeah.
Who knows? Cool.
Yeah.
But I think that's it's a great way to look at something that is always sold to us as being extreme. Push yourself. You didn't know you could do it, so go an extra step farther. And I really like that you're like, nah, man, I'm done.
Yeah, it's like, good. No, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm going to go back down to the ground where it's safe.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, because you're a comedian and you're a writer.
Yes.
If somebody came to you and said, we would like a television show about mountain disasters.
Yeah, I would do that so hard. I would do it so hard.
What would it be like?
I don't know. I imagine it would be me following expeditions and just being a real goof about it. I don't know. I don't know what it would be like, because like all of these documentaries that you see, they're all very serious, and I understand you can die, but like, well, let's goof,
Yeah. What would you call it when you're trying to have a sense of you recognize that it's morbid, that death and life and death stakes, but you're trying to have a little bit of fun and humanity.
A little bit of humor.
Yeah.
You're really just asking me to improv some like jokes right here. I'm like, oh Christ.
Yeah, you can talk it through.
Probably have like a pun.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Mountain puns. So there's a type of handhold that's like really like just a little bit of edge you put your fingers on. Those are called crimps. Maybe I'd call it big crimping.
Greenlit as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome. All I need is money.
Hey guys, this is Sarah Meyer, co-producer of this show, and this week I've come down to the beach in Venice to ask people how they feel about mountain disasters. Not that those two things are related, except the most ominous fog I've ever seen has just rolled in, so we'll see how this goes. Do you enjoy watching movies or reading books about mountain disasters?
Not really.
Not at all. No.
No, not about disasters, no.
I actually did see Everest, which was good. I won't climb it, but I'll watch movies about it all day.
Do you think they'll ever make an Everest 2?
Yeah, this is a season of sequels right now.
There is?
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody die? I haven't seen it. Do you enjoy movies or books about mountain disasters?
Yeah, those are always fun. Those can be a lot of fun because you get to see the earth change, and mountains come down and fall down and crumble. That's kind of cool. I mean, I'm waiting for that to happen like in Catalina Island where like it just kind of falls down into the water and the sharks will get the people and it'll be like a real live Jaws. That'd be kind of cool. But there's a lot of sharks out here, And if you don't like the sharks here, you can go to that site. I think they got one called Plenty of Fish, so there's sharks in there too.
So just to connect this back to how did this start? We were talking about mountain disasters, which led to talk about the ocean, which led to sharks, which led to fish, which led to fish.
So many losers on Plenty of Fish. Let's just stick with that topic right now. My cousin went through it, and she met some guy who lived down the street from her brother. His name is Robert. I think the guy's kind of a loser. She's always been with losers, so I think it's a loser site for losers.
Do you free associate like this a lot?
Yeah, it goes from thing to thing.
Okay, have you ever climbed a mountain?
Once. Yes, actually once. In Ecuador. You really got to drink a whole lot of water or else you'll pass out real quick.
Did you see people pass out?
I saw one. Pretty sure it's because she was eating a bag of Doritos on the way up.
Have you ever climbed a mountain?
Yeah, we did just like 2 days ago. Yeah, we went up to the Griffith Observatory.
I'm not sure that counts as a mountain.
Oh, okay.
Would you ever climb Mount Everest?
No.
Would you climb Mount Everest?
Oh, no.
No, because you gotta go up the mountain and then back down just for practice to get used to the elevation. And the water would probably freeze faster than you get up there, right?
You're very concerned with hydration. How are you hydrated today?
No. We gotta get him some water.
So cute. What's his name?
This is my boy Shadow. He's a rescue.
Hi, Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna put the mic right up to him. Is that the sound you made when you were climbing a mountain?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Would you take Shadow to climb a mountain?
No, he's not. He's already breathing too heavy out here.
We're going to move on to our How Obsessed Are You questions. These are questions that I ask everybody. You can feel free to answer them however you want, as honestly as you want, or as jokey as you want, whatever you want. There's no judgment. I just like seeing across all of the podcasts what people's different level of obsession is. So, do you think about mountain disasters every day?
Every day?
Every day.
Not every day, no, but multiple times a week.
Okay. But it sounds like you're pretty actively watching and reading right now.
Yeah, every time something comes along. Like I was on a Delta flight last night that had you get the TVs in the seat in front of you.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through the movies and there was this Japanese movie called Everest, Summit of the Gods. And I was like, well, I guess I got to watch this. And I watched it and it was dumb because this guy was in Kathmandu and found George Mallory's camera in a antique shop and then found this legendary climber and then they climbed Everest and the guy died and then the dude was oh,
was this
mountains.
A fictional movie or is this
fictional movie?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was not good.
Yeah, but you felt compelled.
I was I have to.
Okay.
It's there. I have to watch it.
Did you feel compelled because you are so obsessed or do you feel compelled because mountain disasters are becoming a part of your brand?
I don't know. It's just with these mountaineering disaster documentaries. Why am I watching them? Because they're there.
Yeah.
That's
it's just like climbing the mountain.
Yeah. It's just that's my Everest is Everest documentaries. Can I watch another one?
Cool. Would you wear pajamas that have a depiction of a famous mountain disaster on them?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I would feel bad. I would not wear them out in public. I would wear other pajamas out in public because that's where I am in my life. But it would have to be people dangling from ropes or just dead, and that might be a bit much to have to explain to people.
Yeah, what if it was just really subtle, only you could really understand it? It looked like it was, it's a top and a bottom pajamas, and it's clearly people climbing mountains, but maybe you recognize it way off in the distance. That is green boots.
I would wear the shit out of that.
Yeah. Okay. When people walk into your home, can they tell you're obsessed with mountain disasters?
No. But also I don't have a home right now. I'm staying...
You just moved here.
I'm staying with some comedy people. I think someday, yes, they will be. In that shitty Everest movie I was watching last night, this guy had a little model of Everest, and I was oh, I would love that.
Oh, yeah.
I would put that in there. Maybe put little dead Lego guys on there.
So you would you would extend your obsession to buying things that physically represent it.
Yeah. Maybe I could just make posters for green boots.
Yeah.
It'd be an old rock concert poster. It'd be green boots at Everest.
Coachella. Yeah. Cool. So you have a girlfriend?
Yes.
That sounded really true. You have a girlfriend? Is she going to come move to Los Angeles with you?
Yes, we're both staying at that Comedy Friends place.
How does your girlfriend feel about your mountain disaster obsession? When you get your place in LA and you're like, hey, I got this great, huge mountain disaster poster. Would she be like, that's great? Or would she be like, that's not the way?
I think she would be super into it because, my girlfriend used to be an air traffic controller, used to work for the FAA, so she fucking loses her mind for airplane disasters. So kind of what ended up happening for a while is like, you want to watch this thing about people dying on a mountain? She's like, yeah. Do you want to watch this thing about people dying in a plane? And I'm like, yeah. And we just like trade off. Like there's this show on Netflix called Air Disasters, and it's just this British weekly show. It's like, here's a new way people died on an airplane. And I'm like, tight. Let's fucking get in there. And it's usually always just like a pilot being like a dick.
Is there just a mutual understanding between the two of you that you're considering the realities of mortality, or do you like discuss after a movie how it made you feel about death?
Maybe we should. I don't know. I never even thought about it. I just was like, oh, look at this. This is interesting.
Well, I'm happy to provide that service of unwanted counseling.
I mean, boy, if you want to talk about people dying in airplanes, my girlfriend's name's Carolyn. You should talk to her. She can talk to you for hours about this disaster. Tenerife? Oh, it was like the biggest airplane disaster in history. Yeah. Multiple documentaries. I'm sold. It's crazy.
I'm sold.
It's batshit.
I'll let a little space pass between this podcast.
No, I'm calling her right now, and I'm like, Carolyn, get down here.
Get down here. This guy loves talking about disasters.
This guy loves dead people.
Next, how obsessed are you question is, would you write a poem about mountain disasters?
I never even thought about it, but yeah. Does it have to be good?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll write one later. I'll send it in.
Okay, sounds good. Now, I mean, you are a person who expresses yourself artistically.
Yes.
And I think your stand-up I mean this is a compliment, your stand-up reads is very written in that it is very precise.
Yeah.
And in your writing. So how much have you worked mountain disasters into the writing that you do already?
I do have about a 7-minute long bit about people dying on Mount Everest.
Okay. So it's not that far of a stretch to sit down and say, I'm going to express this in another artistic form.
Right. Like I've wanted to try and write a sketch about mountain disasters, which hasn't come out. The interesting thing about mountain disasters is that for whatever reason, like the Russian climbers are always the biggest dicks.
Already, or when they hit the dick level of the mountain?
In addition to the baseline dick mountain climber, they're like extra dick. They're like, we're going to use oxygen. And they're just like, oh, look at fucking just like jerk off motion. They're just like huge. They're very proud about it. I don't know.
About being just, are they dicks to other people? Or just they're defiant that they're better than everybody at
more like that. Just kind of, that defiance. Like, we're better.
We're from Russia. We're best at mountains.
Yeah.
Screw you all.
We're best at mountains.
Is that in your stand-up?
No.
From the Russians?
I don't know how to.
Okay.
It's too much. It's a little too weird.
Well, then that's great material for the poem.
Yeah.
To write from the perspective of Russian dicks on a mountain.
Yeah.
Would you or have you edited the Wikipedia page about mountain disasters?
I have not.
Would you?
You know, if I saw something that was pretty glaringly wrong, I might have to sign up and get in there. Yeah. Or show up in the comments section. Like, come on, guys, what is this?
Have you read stuff on Wikipedia about it? Is that where you get some of your information, or do you get your information all from more trusted sources than Wikipedia?
Wikipedia is definitely where you start, and then you kind of branch off.
If a bear was blocking you from watching a documentary about a mountain disaster, would you try to get around the bear?
What kind of bear are we talking here?
Let's see. Let's say that it is a black bear.
Okay. All right. And this is a black bear in my home?
Let's say that there is a documentary playing at the ArcLight here in Hollywood.
All right. I can't afford that, but that's going to be the different barrier.
Everybody finds a
barrier.
Huh?
All right. I'm out. Right. Did it.
Killed it. Nailed it.
Crushed it. I'm going to be honest. I'd be like, I'm out.
You're out.
I'm not going to fight a bear to watch a documentary.
So, but if I told you
Okay.
You didn't have to fight the bear.
I don't have to fight the bear.
You just needed to get around the bear.
Just get around the bear.
You can still say no.
No. I think I would try to get around the bear.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about bears and other animals that can maul and kill you? Because obviously you're into mountain disasters.
Yeah. I do a lot
Animals are part of this sort of the nature disaster world.
I do a lot of hiking, and I don't have any fear for like the wildlife. Like my dad's always like, watch out for cougars, and I'm like, why are you so obsessed that a cougar is gonna kill me in like Runyon Canyon where there's like little kids and like people in high heels just like strutting away? Like, I don't think a cougar is gonna single me out. They're gonna go for the tasty children, but whatever.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're not afraid of the animals because you have a certain amount of chill? Like if a cougar looked at you, you could just look at the cougar like, whatever, it's no problem. I'm no threat to you.
That is part of it. I'm also a surprisingly clumsy and uncoordinated person, so I'm not at all quiet with my hiking. And that's kind of the biggest thing, is to make as much noise as possible, which I do.
You hike loud?
I hike loud, and I was going to say hard, but I don't. I hike medium.
How do you make a lot of noise hiking?
I have heavy boots. I don't have like soft steps. I just kind of slam my feet down, which is probably bad for my knees, but who cares?
Okay, so there's a lot of clomping.
A lot of clomping.
Do you vocalize? Do you say, ugh? Do you make hiking noises?
There's a lot of grunting, a lot of heavy breathing. It's pretty obvious I'm coming.
Yeah, cool. Well, I wish I was as chill as you about the animals, because, you know, many places in Los Angeles, Griffith Park, my wife and I are pretty close to, so we walk into Griffith Park, and one of the first times I walked into it, you know, they had the sign that's just like, caution, snakes. It's like, great, how do I be cautious of snakes? It just felt like a sign that was saying, like, you might die.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, oh, you might die if you go this route, which I remember the first time I went in Griffith Park, because there was like this weird offshoot, and I was like, is this the right way to the observatory? Which it wasn't, and I was walking, and there's like a big sign, it was like, no, for real, you should not, you're gonna die. And I was like, die. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I respect that sign.
Yeah. And one time, Coyote looked at me like he was considering eating me, and then just decided,
I've never seen anything beyond a squirrel in any of my hiking in LA, and like I've gone on plenty of hikes.
Yeah.
I've done the Hollywood sign a few times.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you've done for real hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a pack of coyotes. It was kind of twilight, and they looked at me and my wife Sarah like, are you worth eating?
Yeah.
And then they just decided, nah.
Yeah, I think animals just are afraid of confidence. And like, I'm so oblivious to the outside world that I that can be mistaken as like confidence. Like, well, that dude knows what he's up to. And it's like, no, I just don't realize there's danger.
Right. But you're just like, you're just too cool to care. And
yeah.
Like, well, why should we care about that guy? He doesn't care about us. Yeah. Whatever. He's cool.
Yeah. And I think just having that healthy respect also, like if I were to come across, like in real life, if I were to come across a black bear or something, I'd just be like, great. And then I'd just like turn around and like, I'd leave.
Right.
Like I wouldn't be like these idiots in Yellowstone or whatever, like, oh, I want to go picture of this buffalo, and they like go up right next to it so they can get a selfie, and then they get mauled. I'd be like, oh, we should stay the fuck away from that. And then stop. Like I'm not proud, I guess. So I'm cool with just stopping.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest safety issue for like hiking and mountaineering is to just know when to stop. Because that's when a lot of people die, like climbing Everest. Is that, like, people will set like a timetable. Like if we don't summit by 2 p.m., we got to turn back. And people will get like, they'll be like, kind of close, and it's 2, and they're like, oh, we could still make it. So then they get up there at like 3, and then it's dark, and then they die.
Yeah.
Like
they just push it when they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a thing that is referred to as summit fever, where you just get so obsessed with getting to the top that you kind of completely forget that it's dangerous.
Yeah. So have you internalized the idea of summit fever to lots of things in life? I mean, you're just moving here to LA.
Right.
LA is a place where people have a lot of metaphorical summit fever of just go to get to the thing.
Yeah.
Have you internalized that from your obsession, where you're like, I'm going to stop and think about whether I need to keep going?
I have like internalized and thought about it. Like there's things where like I could like go do this open mic, go do this showcase and do this things. Like I want to, and then like, oh, but I still have like a girlfriend I should spend time with.
Yeah.
You do have to know when to stop, so you don't just spread yourself thin, where it's like, here's 80 hours of work you should be doing.
Yeah.
So I think it has made me more mindful of my choices in my life.
Yeah, that's really cool. The last How Obsessed Are You question is a weird one.
Okay.
If you could not watch or read about mountain disasters without you or someone you love first being punched in the crotch, would you still watch or read about mountain disasters?
I would stop.
I kind of thought that would be your answer.
Yeah.
After what we just discussed.
Are there people that are like, nah, my dad'll get punched in the dick. Let's.
Yep. A lot of people bargain. A lot of people ask follow-up questions.
Oh.
And a lot of people make up their own rules to the question. We're like, yeah, but I have a huge pad, or it's a small child and they don't have punching strength yet. People have made up a lot of great answers, but I think after what we just talked about,
they got those such small fists, so it's like less force, but like less spread out area. So really,
so more possible damage.
Yeah, so it's like the difference between a pencil tip and like a hypodermic needle. You know what I'm saying?
I would have never thought about it that way. But I know what you're saying. And I think that's a totally reasonable answer. Sometimes I push on this question, but since we just had a lovely talk about knowing when to stop.
Well, yeah. I think knowing when to stop, that's the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
If we're going to be real, I've been thinking about it. I've been doing stand-up 10 years, and I was like, I know I have friends that are like, oh, they're doing the road, and they're like, oh, I did this 5-week tour and made like $300, and it's like, no, I don't want that to be my life. So I was like, should I just quit in Minneapolis, where like I kind of maxed out Minneapolis? I was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna move to LA for a couple of years and then decide if I want to quit or not.
I think that's great. And the analogy of mountain climbing is really good in general, but now you've given so much more specificity to it. This is the level at which I'm going to become a jerk.
Yeah.
This is the level where I'm just going to let other people die.
Yeah, and for the amount of people that like die, there are a lot of people that they're just proud they did it.
Yeah.
Like they got like halfway and turned around. They're like, fuck it, that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's more than most people do. And I'm like, yeah, that's, I think, the healthy way to live.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest thing, I'm sure, in many things, but certainly in entertainment, where it is a lot of just ridiculously hard work, is being honest with yourself about, I am on this path, I have summit fever, but am I also in the moment enjoying the thing that I'm doing? Like with the tours you were talking about. Like, I think there are people who probably like, I love comedy so much, I don't care that I had a couple crappy gigs and I got $300. And the other people, I think, who do that and are miserable because they're only miserable. Summit fever. It's only to get to the top.
Yeah, and
which is it for you?
Yeah, and I was talking more about, you see these like road dog people that like heavy drinkers, and like they clearly hate it, but they don't know anything else they could do anymore.
Right.
So it's just kind of an obligation. But like going back to the summit fever thing, like a lot of people that die, it's because they take a wrong turn or something. So like they still got that summit fever, but they're climbing the wrong trail. Like no matter how hard they climbed, they were never going to get to the top. And that's
right.
And that I think really speaks to me as the entertainment industry, is like you could be putting in your Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, but like in the wrong place.
Right.
Which is probably the most terrifying thing.
It's absolutely horrifying, I think.
Because unlike a mountain, there's no like trail markers. It's just like go until you die or quit.
Could be like somebody tells you, you are climbing Mount Everest, and you walk and you walk and you walk, and then years later you just realize, I have been walking across Iowa. This is nowhere near Mount Everest. I did a lot of work, but it has nothing to do with the goal. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Well, yeah, or even that is a good metaphor. Like you want to climb Mount Everest, but you're not even at the mountain.
Yeah.
Like you just don't have that baseline, whatever you need to make it.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. I asked people to make a noise to sum up their obsession. Can you make a noise to sum up your obsession with mountain disasters?
Ooh. That's the noise.
It?
That's the noise.
Do you literally make that noise when you're reading and watching?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, is that honestly, like I can't believe this kind of noise?
It's just like a really taking in the breath of human experience.
Yeah.
And mortality. To be like, woof.
Oh,
there it is. Oh boy.
Nice. I rate people's obsessions on a scale of 1 to 7.
7?
Yeah, it's just random because I like the number 7. To give it a little bit of flavor, I usually try to make it a thing. So what's a mountaineering object? What was the thing that we talked about for the show? The clamping thing? The pin?
Oh, the crimp.
The crimp.
It's like a handhold. It would be a type of handhold.
Okay. Yeah. So out of 7 crimps.
Yeah.
I think that you are 4.5 crimps.
Okay.
Obsessed with mountain disasters. And I think you're right there. Like you're higher than middle.
Okay.
But I think, to me, it's clearly occupying a lot of your time.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of understand why. And you can use it to extrapolate out to other life things. And then you have hard stops where like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Because I don't want to fight a bear?
Yeah, but also so much of what you're saying is about knowing when to stop. So it seems to me like if you know when to stop when you're actually mountain climbing, if you are able to stop on a path that you don't want to be on for the entertainment world, that you're probably not going to get like super obsessed to the point where like people call you to hang out and you'll be like, I'm sorry, I can't come. I need to think about mountain disasters.
That was me when I was younger. I've missed weddings and funerals for like open mics. And just as you get older, you're just kind of like, who cares? No one show is going to make or break you. So like, take a day off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just feel like you as a person, you have some stops. You're never going to become too obsessive because that keeps coming up in our conversation.
Yeah. I don't know why. I'm like weirdly like upset that you didn't rate me higher.
It is so weird the different ways that people come at the obsession. Like sometimes they feel like when they come on the podcast that they need to know the most. Sometimes they feel like they need to be proved that they're most obsessed. If it's too high, I think sometimes people feel like I'm telling them they have a problem.
Yeah.
But, everybody's different. It doesn't matter.
We would have done this like a year ago, you would have rated me higher. But at some point, I did realize, this is a problem.
You felt like it was a problem?
Yeah. I was really into it.
What was problematic? What were the moments where you felt like I crossed a line?
It was the amount of time that I think I was spending dedicated to it. Like, after like several nights in a row just staring at bodies, I think was pretty bad.
Okay, so it was the time, but also the living in that morbid world?
Living in that morbid world, like I was genuinely like having trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Because I don't like thinking about mortality and stuff, so like I would have these like pictures in my mind of all these dead people. There's other places people die that I was really reading into. Like, have you ever read Into the Woods?
No.
Or Into the Wild is what it's called. That's another John Krakauer book about Christopher McCandless. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he was like this dude, gave all his money to charity, and then just like drove and then hitchhiked his way, and then kind of died in this converted bus in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness. So I guess just, to some extent, I'm just compelled by people slowly dying.
It sounds like you might be finding ways, because you just said you don't like thinking about death.
Right.
But that's what a lot of this is about.
Yeah.
So are you just trying to find ways to process death?
Probably. As a kid, I was terrified of death.
Okay.
Still am.
Understandably so. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But
as a kid, I didn't have weed, so now if I'm thinking too much about death, I just smoke weed, and then I'm like, look at this cat. Because where I'm staying, there's a cat.
There's a cat
named Mountain Goat, and I'm like, which is apropos.
You're still on.
I'm still in it.
You're still in it.
Can't get out.
You can't get out. The weed can't get you out. The cat can't get you out.
Look at this cat. Because sometimes it likes to step in your lap and then like put its paws up on your shoulders like it's hugging you, and I'm like, we're never gonna die, Mountain Goat.
This moment will live on forever.
It's you and me forever, MG.
Is there anything that you want to plug? I certainly want you to tell people where they can find you on social media, because even if you don't like it, I think you're funny on social media, and other people will have a good time following you.
Yeah, you can just get up on my name at the Facebook, Patrick Susmilch. I'm on the Twitters.
And you tweet a little bit, right?
I tweet a little bit. You guys can't see the face I'm making, but it's a real tentative, disdainful face. It's at P Susmilch, which I need to change because that is not easy to find. But
no.
PSUSMILCH. I don't know what I would change it to though.
Is Patrick available?
Patrick Susmilch?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Some dick has Susmilch, and I was like,
oh yeah.
They don't even tweet. My brother owns susmilch.com, and like he's trying to get me to like buy the domain from him, and I'm like, why?
Does your brother do anything where he needs a website?
No.
It's just cool to have a website.
He just like bought one and then has just been cyber squatting.
He's just extorting his family.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's like, man, it's like $50. I'm like, no.
Would you tweet more if you were tweeting about mountain disasters? If you just found a way to like say something within 140 characters once a day about mountain disasters.
About mountain disasters?
Yeah.
I've never had like funny quips. I've always just seen like, that's fucked up. Or like
I consider that a funny quip myself.
Okay, well, like 2016 in May, that was one of the more deadly years, because the year before the 2 years before, kind of Mount Everest was kind of off limits because there was that big earthquake in Nepal that a lot of people died. So no one did it.
Okay.
And then finally people started again, and then people were dying. Like, people would like send me articles about it, and I was like, come on, like, you think you're gonna come to me
I'm
with
the one
Everest related news?
I know. Yeah.
I have a Google alert.
Cool. Here are some quick plugs for the show, and then we'll have our final questions. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as @Joseph Scrimshaw. You can follow Obsessed Podcast on Twitter and Facebook as @Obsessed Podcast. For info on all my upcoming shows and comedy albums and stuff, you can check out my website at josephscrimshaw.com. You can support Obsessed by backing us on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to our monthly patron-only bonus episodes. For full info on that, go to patreon.com/Joseph Scrimshaw. Do you have a comedy album?
I do.
Yeah, you should plug that.
It's called Validate Me. Because that's what I feel like I do every time I go on stage, is just me yelling, validate me. You can buy it on iTunes or Amazon if you want to.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, I get a very slim margin, so if you want to just listen to it on Spotify, I'm cool with that.
You still get validated, right?
I still get validated. So right now on Spotify, there's like the number of plays kind of tab.
Oh, yeah.
And for all the tracks on my album, it just has a less than sign, 1,000, and that really hurts that for whatever reason.
That is not good for validation.
This computer can't give me actual numbers. It's just like less than 1,000.
Yeah. So go validate Patrick on Spotify.
Please validate me on Spotify.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can validate me too. Just go validation crazy.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Just put my album on your desktop before you go to work. Hit repeat. Just let it go.
Yeah, you don't need to listen to it.
Don't listen. Mute it.
Yeah.
Mute it in the car. It's fine.
There are no little signs on Spotify that say whether people enjoyed it, just whether they listened, right? Damn it.
Can I plug one other
Oh, absolutely.
thing? I did mention that I'm writing for that sketch show the month of March.
Yeah.
Every Sunday at 8 at the Del Close Theater at I.O. West. I believe it's a free show. So,
what's the show called?
If you look at it on the website, it's called like Underbite / The Sunday Sketch Show.
Okay, cool. And you're writing sketches, you're not performing.
I'm writing sketches,
nice.
I'm not performing, but I'll be in the back.
Yeah. And if you see a mountain disaster sketch, you will know.
I'm trying really hard.
Good.
I'm going to probably pitch one every week until they're like, stop.
I am thrilled by that.
Stop. I don't even know what it'd be. Just person, just like, look at all these dead bodies.
It sounds like a good premise to me.
Yeah.
Here are our final questions. They don't have anything to do with your obsession, but they can if you want. If you could hug Matt Damon or Ben Affleck, who would
Matt
you
Damon.
hug? What is your rationale?
I don't know. Just Matt Damon seems like a more huggable dude.
Yeah.
Like Ben Affleck, I feel like he would hug me.
Yeah.
But
he
I
wouldn't
feel like Matt Damon would hug back.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure. Yeah, he would give a little something of himself. Yeah.
Like there'd be like more of an interaction there. You
Yeah.
know?
It's the first time I've tried asking that question. I'm going to ask it a few more times, and I think I'm going to get the same reaction.
It's Matt Damon every time.
If you could hug Matt Damon or Matt Damon.
You didn't even hear the second person. It could be Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, it's Matt Damon still.
Oh, it's still way Matt Damon. Neil deGrasse Tyson would correct me on the hug.
Yeah, he'd probably tweet about how it was wrong.
His arms were not at the proper angle. If you could turn into an amazingly powerful superhero, but you had to shout a word to make the transformation happen.
Oh, God.
What word would you shout?
No.
No?
No, I'm not.
No?
God, I want to preface this by saying I felt bad, but I thought of the worst word I could think of, and you can probably guess what it is, but it is perhaps a racial slur.
Okay.
And that I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do it. I will just not use my powers. I don't care if people are dying.
I like that your instinct was to shout no.
Yeah, no. Don't do. People be like, Pat, we need you. Like, I can't. You get. And then I say the word, and everyone's like, oh, God.
Oh, please don't. But I'm going to do something heroic, but
Everyone's
it doesn't matter.
Just go.
Don't.
Just go. And then I get fired from SNL or something.
But I would love it if you were a superhero who had to shout no.
No.
And especially like that of like, no, I don't want to do this.
I hate it. It hurts.
The final question for everyone on the podcast is, what is happiness?
I don't know. I go to a therapist every week to figure this out.
What is the current working theory with your therapist?
Current working theory right now, just trying to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
Is what I'm working towards, because like earlier when I was at that improv class, I was thinking about this podcast, be like, fuck, how am I going to do it right? Am I going to talk about it? And then while I'm here, I'm like, fuck, I got those sketches to write. Like, how to like live
in the moment,
in the current moment.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a great job on the podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were exactly, you had insights. You were funny. I learned something, and you were just perfectly the right amount of obsessed.
And I think we all learned something about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal of all podcasts.
It is self-discovery.
Thank you very much.
Chapo Trap House is about. Did I pronounce that right?
Chapo Trapo?
Chapo Trap House?
No idea. Yeah.
Oh, it's real. It's big.
Yeah, I know.
It's a big. I haven't listened to it.
You know, I see the podcasts.
Yeah.
But I don't say them out loud to other humans, so I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if you had this I don't know if you went to college. I did. Briefly. And you could tell like who was the kid that came from like a small town and was smart, but like book smart because they had pronounced words wrong. Because they didn't have anyone to teach them. They learned on their own, so they're just reading.
Yeah. You can always tell if somebody played Dungeons and Dragons because they will be super smart, and then they'll say a specific set of words incorrectly because they were playing Dungeons and Dragons when they were children and didn't know better.
Like what?
Like when people say the word melee is melee, you will know that is a super smart person who played Dungeons and Dragons when they were 12.
I used to play a lot of like computerized Dungeons and Dragons, like Baldur's Gate and stuff. Were you into that?
No.
Ugh. But yeah, you would see like it'd be like MELEE with like an accent. Like, what?
What is that?
No.
Malay?
Like when I was first reading the old Harry Potter books before there were movies, Hermione, I was just like
Did you just blur it in your head?
Yeah,
like
like I think literally every time I was like Hermione.
It took me 18 years to read those books because I did the same thing.
Yeah, I read the first 2 books, and for a while I could say I read all of them, and then they got popular, and I was a real dickbag kid, so I was like, fuck this shit now that it's popular. And now as a 30-year-old, I'm on an airplane with my Kindle, just be like, oh my God, Harry, are you going to make it? And like, I know he does.
Yeah. When you're reading Harry Potter, are you in the moment?
Yeah, when I read, I'm in the moment. It's one of the things I do to help deal with my anxiety and stuff. Something about reading really takes up my brain space.
Cool.
So it really helps.
So that is another form of happiness for you then. When you're reading about mountain disasters.
Reading about mountain disasters.
You're right there in the moment.
Yeah. Before Mountain Disasters, I was really into Alexander Hamilton because of the musical. And I already liked American history because I was super into it. There's this dumb cartoon show on PBS called Liberty's Kids that I used to watch. It was like a cartoon, but about the American Revolution, which it was really interesting how they'd get around all the bloodshed. They would show like battle scenes, and then they just cut to like muskets hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, people died. But like kids, anyway.
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite played Benjamin Franklin. This was a while ago. He's dead now.
I think that is the perfect beat to end the podcast on.
He's dead now.
Walter Cronkite is dead. Thank you very much. That is our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest shared some stories with the rest. Rate 5 stars if you're impressed.
Alexander Hamilton is also dead.